Coronation Street has revealed major news for Nina Lucas in the character's upcoming exit story, as Molly Gallagher prepares to say goodbye to the role after nearly 7 years. Back in June, the ITV soap confirmed that Nina would be saying goodbye to Weatherfield and that Gallagher had already filmed her final scenes. Her exit comes as the soap star prepares for the UK stage tour of The Silence of the Lambs. Gallagher is taking on the role of Clarice Starling, opposite ex-EastEnders actor John Partridge and former Emmerdale actor Oliver Farnworth. In tonight's episode, a disappointed Nina returned to Weatherfield after attending a job interview at an art gallery in Whitby, telling Roy Cropper she thought she had blown it. Asked by Roy how it went, Nina replied, "Well, Whitby was fabulous as per, but job-wise, total waste of time." When Roy quizzed her further, she said, "I messed up my interview. Let my nerves get the better of me." Later at the Rovers, Nina received a message from Ruby at the gallery, but was too nervous to read it. Asha Allahan checked it for her, reading, "We'd be lucky to have you. When can you start?" The pair excitedly hugged, with Asha telling her friend she'd miss her while she's off on her new adventure. But will this be the last we see of Nina? Speaking about her time on Corrie, Gallagher previously told Digital Spy, "I was really passionate about portraying this alternative character. We kept her quite similar the whole time, which was important to me. I never wanted Nina to lose her goth look and who she is. I think the audience have always really appreciated that. So it was a really hard situation," she said of her exit, "but as an actor, you do want to challenge yourself by trying new things. This new job is completely different because it's theater. It was sad. In an ideal world I'd be doing both, but that just wouldn't work." The Cobbles of Weatherfield are preparing for another emotional goodbye, as Coronation Street reveals major news about Nina Lucas that could change her life forever. For fans who have watched Nina grow from a guarded outsider into one of the street's most recognizable young residents, the latest development is certain to bring mixed emotions. Nina has been offered an exciting new opportunity away from Weatherfield, with a potential job in the seaside town of Whitby. But while the news represents a fresh start for Nina, it also raises one heartbreaking question: is this the beginning of the end for her life on Coronation Street? Recent developments have made it increasingly clear that Nina's future could lie away from the Cobbles. Reports have indicated that actress Molly Gallagher is stepping away from the role after nearly 7 years, while Nina's new job opportunity provides a possible route for the character's departure. For Nina, however, this is about much more than simply accepting a new job. It is about deciding whether she is ready to leave behind the people, memories, and heartbreak that have defined some of the most important years of her life. A new opportunity changes everything. When Nina learns about the possibility of working in Whitby, the news initially seems like the kind of opportunity she should be excited about. After all, Nina has always had a creative spirit and a desire to find her own place in the world. But leaving Weatherfield is never going to be easy. The Cobbles have been Nina's home since she arrived as Roy Cropper's niece in 2019. Following the death of her father, Nina found herself building an unexpected but deeply important bond with Roy. Over the years, their relationship has become one of the most touching family connections on the show. Roy has been a source of stability when Nina's world has fallen apart. And Nina has brought warmth, humor, and a different energy into Roy's life. That makes the possibility of her leaving even more heartbreaking. How do you tell the person who became your family that it might be time to go? Roy faces another painful goodbye. For Roy, Nina's possible departure could be devastating. Roy has experienced more than his fair share of loss, and Nina has become an irreplaceable part of his everyday life. Whether they are working together, sharing a quiet conversation, or simply existing in the familiar world of Roy's roles, their bond has always felt genuine. A job in Whitby might be exactly what Nina needs, but Roy may struggle to hide his sadness. In a touching twist, Roy could find himself encouraging Nina to follow her dreams, even if doing so means losing her from his daily life. That is what makes their relationship so special. Roy would never want Nina to stay simply because he is afraid of being alone. But knowing that doesn't make saying goodbye any easier. Fans can already imagine the emotional scenes as Nina weighs up her future. Will Roy tell her to go? Will Nina hesitate when she sees how much her departure could hurt him? And could one final conversation between the pair leave viewers reaching for the tissues? Nina's complicated history with Weatherfield. Nina's journey on Coronation Street has been filled with unforgettable highs and devastating lows. Her life changed forever during the tragic hate crime storyline involving her and Seb Franklin. The story became one of the most emotional chapters in Nina's time on the street and left a lasting impact on the character. Molly Gallagher's performance in that storyline also earned major recognition from viewers and awards bodies. Since then, Nina has continued to search for happiness while dealing with complicated friendships, relationships, and the pressure of moving forward after trauma. That is why Whitby could represent something Nina has needed for a long time, a chance to begin again. Leaving doesn't have to mean running away. Sometimes, leaving means choosing yourself. And perhaps that is the biggest lesson Nina has learned during her years in Weatherfield. Can Nina really leave her friends behind? Of course, Roy isn't the only person Nina would have to say goodbye to. Her connections on the street have become part of the fabric of her life. Every familiar corner holds a memory. Every trip through the cafe or along the cobbles could remind her of the people who have shaped her journey. Then there is the emotional question of whether Nina can truly start over somewhere new. Whitby may offer a fresh opportunity, but Weatherfield is where Nina discovered who she was. She fell in love there. She experienced unimaginable loss there. She made mistakes there. And, most importantly, she survived there. Perhaps that is why the decision to leave will be so difficult. Nina isn't just choosing between two locations. She is choosing between the comfort of everything she knows and the uncertainty of everything she could become. A sad goodbye, but not necessarily forever. One of the biggest questions surrounding Nina's exit is whether the door will remain open for her return. For soap fans, a character leaving for a job elsewhere is very different from a permanent, final goodbye. It means that Nina could potentially come back to Weatherfield one day, whether for a visit, a family emergency, or even a full-time return. And that possibility may offer some comfort to viewers. Nina has become too important to the history of the modern street to be forgotten. Her relationship with Roy alone means there will always be a reason for her to return. Perhaps Nina will discover that the world outside Weatherfield has more to offer. Perhaps she will build a successful new life. Or perhaps, after time away, she will realize that the cobbles will always feel like home. The beauty of a departure like this is that nothing has to be completely over. Sometimes, a goodbye is simply the start of another chapter. Molly Gallagher's emotional new chapter. Nina's sad exit also marks a major new chapter for actress Molly Gallagher, who has been preparing to move on to an exciting theater role after her time on the soap. Gallagher has spoken publicly about the sadness of leaving a role that had been such a huge part of her life, making Nina's farewell feel emotional both on and off screen. For viewers, it is a reminder that while saying goodbye to a beloved character is difficult, exciting opportunities often lie ahead. Molly leaves behind an impressive legacy as Nina, a character who arrived as someone different, sometimes misunderstood, but ultimately became an important part of Weatherfield. Her distinctive style, sharp wit, and emotional vulnerability made Nina impossible to mistake for anyone else on the street. And that is why her departure will leave such a noticeable gap. The final decision. As Nina considers the job opportunity in Whitby, fans will be waiting anxiously to see what she decides. Will she take the leap and leave Weatherfield behind? Will the thought of saying goodbye to Roy prove too difficult? Or could one final emotional moment convince her that she needs to take a chance on herself? Whatever happens, Nina's exit is set to be bittersweet. There is hope in the opportunity ahead of her, but there is also sadness in everything she could leave behind. For Roy, the thought of losing Nina from his everyday life will be particularly painful. For Nina, the prospect of walking away from the place that helped shape her adulthood may feel almost impossible. But perhaps that is exactly what makes the story so powerful. Life doesn't always give us easy choices. Sometimes, the right decision is also the hardest one. As Nina Lucas looks toward an uncertain future, one thing is certain: if she does leave the cobbles, Coronation Street will be saying goodbye to a truly unique character. And when Nina finally looks back at Weatherfield for what could be the last time, fans everywhere will be hoping that this isn't goodbye forever. Because no matter how far Nina travels, there will always be a place for her on the cobbles, and in the hearts of the viewers who have followed her extraordinary journey. Will Nina choose a new life in Whitby, or will the pull of Weatherfield prove too strong? The answer could lead to one of Coronation Street's saddest goodbyes yet. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.